Well, g'day. Mathematical KM here. Remember, it's most definitely initials, not a title. Keith Malumbi. And tonight I had the black pieces, and I don't know for any of you international viewers, like and subscribe. But an Aussie saying, and this goes with football teams, chess players, any competitive thing, is if somebody's got the wood over another team. And if the Giants have got the wood over the Magpies, then in any year, doesn't matter where either team is on the ladder, if the Giants have got the wood over the Magpies, the Giants will beat the Magpies. And let's have a look at myself. FIDO ratings dropped a little, 1408, and my opponent, Joso Rosic, 1535. So we would expect Joso to win. He's 128 higher. But these we've gone to Joso playing me in standard games with white. He's 2 for 2. With black, he's 3 for 3. Altogether, faced him 5 times. I don't think any of them were in the year of the hippo. Just saying. So he's batting 100%. He has had the wood over the poor old Mathematical KM. And nice black. I've had 3 losses and 2 losses. Joso has had the wood over me. But again, I don't think we've met in the year of the water horse. So let's take a look at the game. He grabs the centre. We fianchetto. For all of you long-time viewers, the first 10 moves are pretty much kind of what you'd expect. White is a little interesting. Don't know why that's such an inaccuracy. It's very prophylactic, and it stops the bishop coming in and then backing up. Something I like to avoid. Fairly standard move. He backed his bishop up, so there's that bishop's gone twice. That's given me a tempo. What is he fianchettoing there? Not sure. But you can see the standard thick-skinned hippo. And maybe it came forward for that knight coming forward. Very interesting. Anyways, we now have the full, just look at the black pieces. We've got the full thick-skinned hippo. It looks like he might be wanting some sort of a pawn storm over on the queen side, which makes my choice of castling interesting when it comes. But with that would be called a hook, something to attack over where his king is. And if you only look at H, D and F, the only piece I see is for white is a knight. We're going to try and outflank him and go that way. They do also say no plan survives contact with the enemy, but let's see how we go. Remembering Joso's had the wood on us, but he's not met the water horse. And here is the water horse in all its glory. What move have we gone with? Like to ask Solomon if he watches about this one. He tends to love playing G5, especially when it comes with tempo. Usually it's coming with tempo with a bishop on F4 and not quite so often getting tempo with a knight on H4. But one little thing about that knight is if it comes back here, it's kind of nearly trapped because it can't go to any of those squares. It would not want to go here. My own knight would need to move out of the way, which I wouldn't have quite the moves to do, and it's always, well, the pawn takes it there. But it's not a happy knight. However, where I've gone wrong in some of the hippos I've lost, seeing a small win like trying to trap a knight, it's not quite there, and I've fixated a little too much on it. And the last couple of weeks, which have had quite a few in the W column, have been on going do no harm, incremental improvement, move by move, thinking that. Let's see how we go. Our computer wants us to castle. I'm thinking I don't want a castle on the king side. If anything, I might like to castle queen side a bit later. Even though he's got his pawns, I want to throw my pawns forward. So, where does he put his knight? Well, it was best. Plus 0.42, he brought his knight back. But for quite some time, that knight is well controlled by my g-pawn, which is nice. So what do I do next? Traditional move, the g-pawn goes forward, the knight comes in behind. You can do the same thing on the other side of the board, but my little plan is I'm hoping to keep no contact or closed on the queen side and attack on the king side. Slowly. Slow cooked meal. I suspect he's waiting for me to come at him in a bad way. That was a bit of a nothing move. I've brought my queen forward. It's good. That allows me to castle in either direction. And he thinks I'm doing waiting moves with the queen, and here come his pawns on the queen side. And I can see them coming. But I can also kind of see, especially with that hook, if I get this pawn and then this pawn, that good things could happen. I've seen games won like that. So I've brought this pawn, the H pawn, forward. It's in an accuracy, can't be taken. Here comes the white pawns on the queen side. I've got my pawn storm on the king side. I've also got, if you just look in H and G, I've got 3-on-1, kind of. Can I flank and get in behind that king? And to help me do that, with dreams of this, was an inaccuracy, goes to +1. Can white take advantage? No doubt it's going to be doing stuff with his pawns on the queen side, and they are going to be interesting. And bingo, what did Sauron do? For those of you who are less educated, what did Voldemort do? And, whoops. We have a bit of a battery. Best move is knight back here. Now, sad to say, with my incremental improvements and having a bit of a game plan for the game, and as I hopefully do move up the ratings, it didn't really take account of what Voldemort Sauron did with that battery, and looked after my own plan. Fixing the G pawn, getting ready to advance the H pawn, and you can see the computer wanted me to look after that A pawn. Now he knows. Let's take this across so that we can see the computer choices. Probably could have done that earlier, but what the hey. You can see that +3 to white. Little bit, will you forgive me, people, for missing that battery. Bishop takes that right now is the way to go. But he a bit worried about my attack and what I'm doing. Having thought about that, I mean, if I do get to take the G pawn, having thrown the F pawn forward, he'll have to take with the H pawn, which is ideal for me, especially if I'm getting rooks going down there. Big question right now is, do we en passant? It's probably what his kids at my school, Gungahlin College, go the Gungahlin Gambiteers. It's only a joke, really, but they try to claim that en passant, hey peasant, is forced. But I don't think it is. And did a little bit of calculation here. If I come forward, if he takes me, I take him, his queen takes me, and you didn't think I had enough defenders on my current f-pawn, but I take his queen back, and I've got a knight protecting my f-pawn, and I've still got these 3 pawns fighting with his, and being able to force conflict on the h. So I thought this was a good go. That was plus 3.5. It's down to 2.2, so, there's some logic in what's going on. And he pulls the trigger. Now, the trick here, and it's a good thing I'm not quite this silly. If black takes that bishop, gets taken back by the queen with check. Where can the king even go here? But having a queen that close to your king, really not fun. But on the other hand, if he takes me and I take him back, that queen can't come in. Not yet, not until stuff happens with the pawns. So to a point, I thought, well, okay, leave that, see what we can do with our counterplay. Go the h-pawn. G-pawn's protected by a pawn, so the queen can't take it. If the g-pawn takes, then I can come in either with a knight or with a rook. So will he focus on his attack or on his defence? Well, that was interesting. He's taken the f-pawn, and this is that little bit of calculation I did all those moves ago. But with a check thrown in the middle, I take back. He takes with the queen, and again, as predicted, I end with a pawn here. When I did it, the bishop hadn't come in, and I was thinking he had a piece threatening my f-pawn, but my f-pawn is not only not under threat, but it is also not hanging. So the attack side of the game is not looking that bad. I do have 4 on 3. My knights are maybe closer, not quite well set for it. And he has an open file, and he's got an A-pawn in it. What do we do here? He comes forward with that A-pawn. And it is interesting that ignoring that pawn, letting it come forward and then standing in front of it probably if I have to. Not sure what happens if he takes me. Well, he no longer has it in the A file, but it gets quite messy quite quickly there. But the computer wants me, and it goes to minus 0.6, is take that G pawn and take it now. And if he takes that back, then I've got a clear run with a rook into very close to his king. Interesting. B times A5 is second best at 0.07 or 007, a bond eval. But if I take him there, he can take back. And as closed as I can make it, and I can see knight to D5. This knight to bring another knight in to try and fight the good fight with the pawns. My tic-tac was B pawn forward, try and hold it up. If the A pawn comes forward with check, slide the king across, or even forward, think about what he can do with his rook. But maybe even across. but definitely try and close it up. And also, don't play hope chess, but... So this wasn't quite the same league as the pieces that were hung in both of my games last week. This is more of a... The B pawn forward is to provoke c4, to have him smash through with his pawns. Or not. Let's see. Provoked move played, and check. And we'll go through with all of his pawns quite close to the finish line. It maybe not all over Red Rover, but it's certainly changed the flavour. Not only do I capture the rook, but the bishop itself is not taken. So now it's plus 4.8. I could go wrong and let a pawn through. Let's see how I handle the clean up on aisle 3. He gets the pawn that his pawn storm came forward to get. Welcome to it. I got the rook. So what should I do? Well, I'm thinking here is threatening the rook and the b pawn. And we really want to do something about that. That's a whole lump of pawns right in front of my king. True, I can slide a rook over. I don't really want to lose a rook for a pawn. That would take it right back to even Steven. We don't want that. And I do have a couple of knights in the nearby. But right now, if bishop here, he will no doubt move his knight. He can't move his knight to protect the b pawn. And I'll take the b pawn. He does have an alternative, which is he can throw in a check. I can probably come forward. And he could then check me again, but I'd take that one. Become a bit of a race. Might have been a better try, actually, but certainly the pawn mass would evaporate. It's just whether or not I'd have to lose a piece for the 3 pawns or not. It would no doubt be a knight, not a rook. Let's go. So we try the plan. And he comes in to protect the a pawn, but not the b pawn. So we take it. So it's already slightly less scary with only the 2 pawns in the mass and not 3. He brings a bishop in to help. I thought rather a lot about what's going on here. Various things I could try. I could go forward. If he took the en passant, I could take with my knight and it'd be threatening the other one. Forward just the 1 to kind of make that happen. Maybe put a knight there, ready to threaten that when he came forward. But at the end of the day, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces versus 4. 5 versus 4, you're at 125%. 5 versus 4 is not as good as 4 versus 3, where you're up by 33% more pieces from the 25. 2 versus 1, you're up by 50%. It's just, it gets better and better as you trade. So, offer the trade. Yes, it looks like it might disrupt my pawns, but let's not forget I can take back with a knight. Oh, what was his b times c5? That was his second best. He's got g times h4 when he wants it, because he's got a knight protecting it. Only a knight protecting it. I would take his knight back with the rook, but it takes a rook away from his attack, but at the price of a knight. That's his best. Interesting. Knight takes h4. Second best, g times h4. Or rook to e1. Trying to get help. Needless to say, what is played and bishop takes c5 is no longer in the top three choices. I mean, the top three choices are all -5 or more to black, but he takes and it's -5.1. So there's not much in it between that choice and the three the computer was asking for. And we take back with the knight. Not only are our pawns better and not doubled, but a knight here, well, until we push the d pawn, it's protected, and it's kind of covering a6 just in case it's got to die. Because if it, right now, if it died on a6 and then the king took back, both pawns would be gone. I'd be getting 2 pawns for the piece, and we'd still have 3 versus 3, but I'd have 2 rooks. I'd be up the exchange, rook to a knight, and I'd have more pawns and better pawns. So that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, hopefully I won't need to take a pawn with a knight, but... So he dives in, and let's push the passed pawn. Now let's see if that plan was right. Yep, d5 is the top move. Push. Comes with tempo. Push. Comes with tempo. And I had calculated this. He would take. And I figured if I take here, he will take back. I'll lose my powerful d pawn. Not what we want. We will instead take here. He takes back because, he kind of has to. Now it's 3 versus 2, so we're 50% ahead. And push. Trying to get the knight to where it can do something useful, but push. Now he can no longer ignore. The rook has to stop the pawn. If I can get my other rook anywhere on the board I would like it to be on e1. So, and yes, I did consider fork and get the rook or make the rook move, but I thought it was that knight's potentially got dying for the king duty and bringing the h rook across. If his knight moves, it's check largely all over. If his rook moves, queen check, it's largely all over. So he can't move his knight, he can't move his rook. He pretty much does have an interesting move in the check with the pawn there from his pawn storm. Best part of the plan of my opponent was the queenside pawn storm, and here it comes with check. It's quite interesting in that I evaluated and didn't do it for obvious reasons, but what if I block the A pawn? Being ready to take the B pawn with my pawn. Very bad move. Don't play this. Oh, he pulls it from 10 to 6.51 because there is check, winning a rook, and then we're still left with a rook and that pawn. So it would be better, but still losing. So let's go back, and what we did play was let's stop the B pawn with the king here. The knight's got a check that just dies, and then we're back in the same boat. It's got another check here, which I suppose it's just losing the knight, but it does win that pawn. And then it would be 3 pieces versus 1 rook. And it would still not be good. Still winning. They're all mate ends. And, okay, we know what will happen there, but let's... Had he played knight to c8... My best move is not taking the knight, getting rid of my effectively mating threat, but and taking the pawn, knight a7 check, knight to c6, and then into the threat. So it really doesn't work. So what was played was knight to d5, protecting just for a move. Rook comes forward, protecting the pawn again. I've got that check, which he'll have to take, and then I'll have a queen and a rook all over. And it is at this point that Joso shook my hand and congratulated me. I don't know if he realised that he'd had me 5-0 until this game, but go the mighty hippopotamus. Let's have a quick look at the review. You can see where the provoked move and the tactic, and then the nice thing for me is playing a player 130 rating points above me and playing out the conversion. Go to the highlights. Played at 80.2 to 71.9. The great move was that the check fork that won a rook without even going the exchange. It won a whole rook. Two of the mistakes were after the battery had been formed and not defending it. Let's go back. Let's take a look at 1800 for Joso, over 2000, 2050 for me. 95.6 for Joso's opening, and my hippo 94.6. So not much in the opening. And the middle game, which is where you've really got to find the right plans with a hippo, I dare say that 69.6 would have been higher if I'd picked up on that battery and protected my A-pawn. But all in all, got to be happy with that. And Joso did have the wood over the Mathematical KM. No longer. See you guys next time.